USA. USA.
USA.
USA. Welcome into this live edition of Big Drive Energy, previewing this year's Ryder Cup at Marco Simone Golf Club in Rome. I am your host at Big Drive Spence, here with my brother and co-host Big Drive Mitch. And this podcast, as always, is brought to you by our great friends over at Pins and Aces. Mitchell is double dipping. He's a Pins and Aces guy, and he's a Big Drive Energy guy. He's both. He works for both, does it all. Mitchell, what shirt am I wearing today? This is from the new fall collection. What's the shirt called?
Oh, I forget what it's called. I'm not good with
Fresh Floral, bitch.
Fresh floral. Okay, I was gonna say it's something floral, but I love the colors. I chose it for you because I figured you'd be the guy to rock it. So it's a great looking shirt. I've got their new T-shirt on, super comfortable. Obviously, their hats always rock. But yeah, I'm out on the sales trail out here in New Jersey, getting a bunch of country clubs, getting Pins and Aces in a bunch of pro shops all across New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. So it's going to be out here on the East Coast here before you know it.
Love to see that. Pins and Aces over the entire country. You can use our promo code BDE, like Big Drive Energy, at pinsandaces.com. And it saves you 15% off your entire order and gets you free shipping. They ship to anywhere in the continental U.S., along with even Europe, which we don't want to talk much about Europe this week. It's all USA, baby. Made in the USA. Pins and Aces. They've got beer sleeves. They've got the brand new liquor stick just came out. Polos, hats, pants, shorts, the whole gamut. So make sure you're checking out pinsandaces.com. Promo code BDE saves you 15% off. All right, let's tee it up. Ryder Cup time. We're on the odd years now. COVID messed it up. I'm wearing a Whistling Straits hat today, if you can't see that. The dominating Ryder Cup of 2021, where the U.S. won 19-9. Embarrassed the Europeans off of our home soil. But the United States hasn't won a Ryder Cup on European soil since either of us were born. Right before I was born, and in your entire life, you've never seen the United States win a Ryder Cup on European soil. How are you feeling this week for Team USA?
Oh man, there's so many different areas to look at. Overall I feel very good. We don't have the quite the experienced dudes like the Europeans have. Like Justin Rose, I feel like is going to be a big factor for the European team. Like those wily old veterans that have just been there, done that. But overall, I feel like it's going to be a freaking battle all the way from the top, all the way down to like the rookies, the younger dudes. There's so many good players on both sides. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. I am planning on staying up late this evening. Might be hitting a little bit of the sauce. Might be a little drunk by the time they tee off and coverage starts. What time does it start tonight?
The first tee time is, what's up, PHNX Sports? Love you guys. The coverage starts at 1, I want to say 1:39 Eastern is the first tee time. So you're 1:39 your time, 11:39 Colorado time, where I am. So I'm going to try to take like a nap, like a 6 to 11 nap, wake my kid up and just go to the couch. I think that's my plan.
That is what you did with the Open Championship, correct?
Yeah, dude. He was born at the best time. Scottish Open and then the Open Championship back-to-back weeks. I was up doing the night scenario, and once he stopped crying, it was amazing. It's amazing to be up that early and watch golf. It is unfortunate because I know a lot of people in the USA are going to watch this. It's obviously the biggest golf event of the year, in terms of not one of the four majors. It definitely dwarfs all of the other PGA and Live Tour events that they have. But it doesn't get quite the eyes it should on it when it's from America, I should say, when it's on European soil.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and it also kind of sucks that it ends like middle of the day Sunday. I mean, now that it's NFL football season, we still have the NFL to watch Sunday afternoons, which obviously is huge. But I would love to see the Ryder Cup go throughout the afternoon. You know, you have Red Zone on one screen, you have the Ryder Cup on the other screen. But we actually, it's good for us because we're going to be at the Broncos Bears game watching that absolute nightmare at Soldier Field. So we should be able to catch kind of the end of it before we go into the football game. So hopefully we get some positive vibes from the U.S. team, get a dub before we have to go in and watch that clusterfuck of a football game.
Yeah. So hopefully partying because of the USA team. Not sure what we're going to see on the football field on Sunday. The Friday matchups, day one foursomes were released. Did you get a chance to see this?
I did. What are you feeling? What's your vibe there?
So we've got first tee time off, match number 1, Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton versus Scottie Scheffler and Sam Burns. Now we know Scottie Scheffler and Sam Burns are boys. The Jon Rahm Tyrrell Hatton, is there a more fiery pairing in the entire Ryder Cup than that right there?
No, I was actually going to say the amount of cuss words they should Bet365 should put a line out on how many cuss words are going to be said by that European team because it should be over. Real quick, did you catch that press conference with Tyrrell Hatton about him cussing?
I did
And
not, no.
oh, he actually in the middle of the press conference he said "fuck off" to the entire media out in Italy, which was awesome. Not in a derogatory way. They just asked him about it, and he goes, "I cuss pretty much in every walk of my life. Like there's no point where I'm not cussing." So then he just dropped the quick "f off," and then he kept doing the interview. But that is definitely a little bit of an interesting pairing for me between I feel like it's going to be somewhat of a roller coaster. Like you got to think Jon Rahm is going to be kind of the calming, the head on his shoulders kind of player there between him and Tyrrell because Tyrrell's just a loose cannon. But then if John gets off the rails and Tyrrell's off the rails, like it's going to go one way or the other in a big direction for that European team. It could be very, very good or it could be very, very bad. It's just they're playing like the all-time nice guy team of Scottie and Sam. Obviously, they're great friends. They've got a little match play vibe between the two of them. They've played plenty, casually and all of that. So, what do you think? What direction? Who's walking away with that first point?
I think it's Team Europe on that first one. I think just the match of I think how much this means to, not that this doesn't mean anything to the United States team. This means a lot to this means a lot to everybody. This is like the peak of golf for players. Like I'd be willing to bet that other than winning a major, and it may rival it, like being a part of any Ryder Cup team as a professional golfer is something you grow up as a kid wanting to do. And yeah, hoisting a trophy as a player for a major, no matter which of the four it is, maybe the PGA Championship's not that high up there for a lot of these guys. But any of the other 3 majors, that's one of the biggest accomplishments, winning the Masters or a US Open or an Open Championship. But I think this means a little bit more to the European guys and knowing how bad they got their ass kicked with a lot of the same dudes on the team from 2021. I think that Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton are just a team that are going to come out, and Scottie and Sam are like that, kind of, they're going to stay even keel. They're going to be, that steady non-wild card team. But I think when you look at Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton, I think they're going to come out with, guns a-blazing, for lack of a better term, and win that first match. And it goes into, so match 2, 3, and 4, we've got Victor Hovland and Ludwig Aberg versus Max Homa and Brian Harman. Interesting pairing there. Moving into the third match, we've got Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka. A lot of S's, a lot of LBs as well in that group. That's a big one. That's a good thing they're not riding in a golf cart. They may have to get an extra one at the turn there. Versus Ricky Fowler and Colin Morikawa. Another interesting pairing for the USA team. And then finishing up the morning matches, we've got Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood versus Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. Give me your most interesting match there in the final 3 of day one.
I think it's that last match, Rory and Tommy versus Xander and Patrick, because Xander and Patrick, for some reason, like you look at those dudes and they look completely opposite in every facet. Like Xander's very tan, very kind of cool looking. You know, he's kind of California cool, and Patrick Cantlay is kind of that nerdy, um, not as attractive looking type of dude who's just looks like an absolute goober, but for some reason they vibe so well on the golf course. And then of course you have Rory and Tommy. Um, Tommy has not been able to really get it done recently, and I mean Rory's obviously won, but not quite as much as you would think he's won. And real quick, I got to mention that when Brooks said in that interview when they asked him like who wants the ball, or like everybody says they want the ball, but who actually wants it, and Brooks mentioned the majors afterwards, and he said, you know, succeeding at the highest level of the majors. I almost feel like he was taking a little bit of a shot at Rory there. I don't know if you saw that video, but I definitely felt like there was a little bit of like undertones of taking a shot at Rory for not being able to get it done at the majors because, like you said, this is the biggest event of the year, non-major, bigger than the PGA Championship. But really that's the only place you can like test your metal. Like that is the only thing that really compares to the Ryder Cup. So if you can't succeed, if you can't win in majors, it's going to be tough for you to do that in the Ryder Cup, or you know, just it gives you a feeling of kind of like you've been there, like something similar. So, and actually they who was the interview with, and he said, or I think it was it Brooks maybe, and he said that's by far the most nervous he's ever been was on the first tee at the Ryder Cup, um, simply because you have, you know, probably 10, 15,000 people surrounding the first tee. And then a lot of the times, you know, they're screaming, yelling, they're all drunk already, whatever time it is. And then all of a sudden it goes dead silent and you feel like you're the only one there and everybody, or like you're kind of like on the stage now and everybody's staring at you. And so I think experience definitely comes into play there, but majors definitely make a big difference. Having won a major these last couple years is going to, I think, give a lot of these guys that have won majors the confidence in this Ryder Cup. So,
Well, one of the interesting matches that I'm looking at here is the Victor Hovland, Ludwig Aberg versus Max Homa and Brian Harman. 3 of the 4 in that group are Ryder Cup rookies. Of course, Victor is not. Victor played in the 2021 Ryder Cup for Team Europe. But interesting to me that Captain Zach Johnson, our Iowa guy, we'll do a little spotlight on him later in the pod, went with 2 rookies. You know, I mean, Homa and Harman are very, you know, they're not inexperienced golfers by any means, and not that anyone here is, but I'm surprised he went back-to-back rookies with Brian Harman and Max Homa, but then they get the, you know, a pairing of Ludwig Aberg, who's his golf game is a complete wild card. The dude on Thursdays and Fridays in PGA Tour events tore it up. We bet on him so many times, and we're like, oh, he's in position. And then Saturday, Sunday just absolutely, you know, falls apart and wheels fully come off. So it'll be interesting to see a 3 rookie debut in one match, you know, on the first jump. Like Zach Johnson doesn't care about the experience that some of the other guys have. He's going straight into it with Homa and Harman.
yeah, I think that it makes a difference of how old Brian Harman is. He's probably the most experienced rookie, you know, on the U.S. team. With him being in his mid 30s, he's not. Talk about a contrast. Ludwig Aberg literally graduated from college. I don't even know if he graduated. Left college 6 months ago, or less than 6 months ago, and now he's playing in a Ryder Cup. Compared to Harman, who played college golf, I want to say 14 years ago, and has been out on tour for the past decade. Just won the British Open, the Open Championship this year. So I think Zach felt like Brian was going to be the most steady out of all the non-rookies. And Harman and Homa both give me the vibe that like maybe Homa has some internal pressure, but Harman just seems like that dude that just kind of like water off a duck's back type of thing. He doesn't let a lot affect him. He's pretty even keel, go with the flow, and he really has to be because of how his game is. He's going to get outdriven by 30, 40 yards by almost everybody. But I almost think that's to your advantage in match play, because I've played plenty of matches where guys are out driving me, but that means then you're the first to play and apply the pressure if you hit some good shots. So I think Harmon kind of adds a little bit of experience there. He'll be able to keep Homa calm. But yeah, the other team is definitely a little bit of a wild card. Ludwig Aberg, I guess, is just striping it right now. He's talk about an ascension in the world of golf. He's gone from, like I said, getting his PGA Tour card to now playing in a Ryder Cup in the same year. So the dude is kind of getting a crash course on what it is to be a top tier tour player, but all the signs have pointed to him being completely ready. So it will be interesting to see the Aberg versus the other two rookies, see how everybody kind of reacts to the situation.
Yeah, and maybe Zach is trying to save. Not everybody's going to play in every single 4-ball match until Sunday, until this individual matches. But it's interesting. He sat, sitting JT makes sense to all of us. Like, he was dicking around in the Fortinet Championship last week, trying to make his name not in the mud. But to me, sitting Jordan Spieth and Brooks Koepka is a pretty big shocker to me, especially playing rookies like Harmon, Homa. I mean, Morikawa's been in multiple of these, but same thing with like Sam Burns. Now, Zach, we'll get to one of his quotes later, but basically said, the guys he picked, I was reading an article about him, and the guys that he picked for his captain's picks were guys that, he wanted the team to have some camaraderie. And I think it's almost like you're almost giving Scottie Scheffler like his little buddy. Like, not saying Sam Burns isn't very good. That's not what I'm saying at all. Obviously, he's made the Ryder Cup team, but it's almost like, all right, Scottie, you're the best player in the world. Let's give you Sam Burns so that you can, just feel comfortable out there. And then you go win this match for us, because we know what Scottie Scheffler's capable of. But it is surprising to me, even though he's not playing the best golf, to see Jordan Spieth out of there. And then Brooks Koepka, the dog that he is. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely more important of how you finish in a Ryder Cup. But if you look back to the 2021 Ryder Cup, the USA started out so quick that even though Team Europe's chances were slim to none on Sunday, they're already defeated. So I think it's important, if the USA wants to win their first Ryder Cup in 30 years on European soil, they come out in this first Friday matches and go hard and win. Get at least 2 points of these and split, or maybe, 2.5 or 3 points, and feel really good about where you are heading into the next couple of matches.
Yeah, I definitely think that leaving Brooks out was a surprise, because I honestly think, he's not Scottie Scheffler, but at the same time, in my opinion, he's even better than Scottie when it comes to these types of things, because he is such a dog, like you said, a dog.
Got that dog in him. He's got that dog
Yeah,
in him.
I was pretty shocked to not see Brooks's name on that first card that morning. Obviously, I assume he'll play in the afternoon, but yeah, leaving JT off, leaving Jordan off, not a huge surprise. But the one thing that they've talked about too is, why don't you put JT off early, and kind of, for Zach Johnson, make a statement as to, this is why I picked this guy. Like, kind of for Zach, it would be doubling down on his choice. If it was Ian Poulter or whatever, they wouldn't be getting left off that card. So, but yeah, Ricky, I would say Ricky, JT, they're both there more for like locker room vibes. They're there for the experience, to keep the vibes high. JT has also been very successful on European soil, which we know. So I think he will definitely get his shot to show everybody why he's there. But yeah, the leaving Brooks off that first pairing, that first grouping, is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, and pointing out, like, so JT and Jordan have a great record in the 4-ball, but they don't have a great record in the foursomes. So maybe Zach's playing to a little bit of prior USA experience on that, and just saying, hey, maybe not that we throw throw any of the matches out. You're never trying to throw a single match out, but you're like, hey, let's get these guys out there, save some, 4 of our, other than Wyndham Clark, the 3 dudes he saved are extremely experienced in the Ryder Cup. And maybe into those afternoon matches, it's like, all right, now it's time to go. Like, this is when we're going to just bury you guys.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick about Wyndham Clark, because it still just blows my mind that we played high school golf with this kid. Now he's playing in a Ryder Cup, but he has caught some flack this last week for saying, what did he say? He was the best player there, and that's the thing. Like, everybody thinks they're the best player there, and if they don't, then they probably shouldn't be there. Maybe besides Max Homa, because he's just that kind of self-deprecating dude. But I think Wyndham could actually be a welcome surprise for the U.S. team, because we know, having played with him, not like name dropping it, but that dude, he's done a very good job at containing it, but that he's got the fire inside of him to go out and absolutely dominate somebody from a match play standpoint. And he's just got that kind of mentality that does very well in match play. So I think he'll be a welcome surprise for the U.S. team, obviously, once he gets out on the course. One other quick note I will say about Brian Harman, because it's going to come back up in the pod a little bit later, is Davis Love was asked like who he thinks is hitting it the best. And he goes, well, they're obviously all hitting it very well, but nobody right now is hitting it better than Brian Harman. So I do like that.
Some Harmonation coming back across the pond. He's sitting there. Do you think he brought the Open Championship trophy with him, the claret jug? Do you think it's in the USA like house? They're in the frat house.
I would love that. I think what he should do is put it in his golf bag and bring it out on the first tee and fucking put it up on the podium with him when they're announcing his name. Just talk about pulling your jock out and just setting it right down in front of everybody. I think Brian Harman has a lot of confidence over in Europe, honestly. And I do have to say one other thing. I know we're going to get into the course preview, but the vibes feel so much different to me when a Ryder Cup is not at a United UK course, United Kingdom, which I saw you don't really know where the UK is, which is not surprising. Do you actually? Okay, so the UK is Ireland and Britain and Scotland, including Wales. So it's like the entire island of England, Scotland, and then Ireland and Wales. That's the entire UK. So that is generally where they play the European Ryder Cups, which I much prefer, because that's where you're going to get like the most passionate fans, all those crazy ass soccer fans. Like, I know a lot of them are going to travel to Italy, but it really doesn't feel like a true European Ryder Cup to me, not being at the K Club or, Glen Eagles was a great one. There's so many great European venues that when you hold it in a place like Italy, it just doesn't quite have like the same vibe to it. One other thing I will say, though, that's got me a little higher on JT is he posted an Instagram like collage, not a collage, but like a video that I don't know who puts these videos together for these tour players, but they're fucking awesome. And in the background music was When the Moon Hits Your Eye, or That's Amore by Frank Sinatra. And that shit just got me, like, it was almost so chill that it like gave me like really good vibes about JT. Like I feel like he's not going to feel like he needs to press this week. He knows how good of a player he is despite this last season. And I think he's going to go out there and show everybody why he got chosen. So that video just gave me like really good vibes. It's a fucking phenomenal song. I love Frank Sinatra, and it's just perfect. It's like quintessential Italy. Like that's the song that pops into my head when I think of Italy. So
JT's got you in your feels a little bit.
It does, dude. It's a great song, man.
I love that. All right, so let's move on. We're gonna preview this golf course because it's an interesting one. I deep dove over a couple of cups of coffee early this morning as the sun was rising, talking about Marco Simone Golf Club. So it's in Rome. It's about 12 miles from all, the the Pantheon or the Parthenon. I'm not good at geography, all the castles, whatever. We've been there actually, ironically, about 15 years ago. So
we didn't go to Rome, no. We went to what's the other Florence. We went to Florence, so
okay.
that's
Same.
even more historical than Rome. So take that.
Georgia, Louisiana, same.
It's all the same.
But so Marco Simone Golf Club is on the outskirts of Rome. It's a par 72, playing 7,268 yards. And they one thing when I was reading into this, they redid this entire facility with the Ryder Cup in mind. So in 2015, they were awarded this Ryder Cup, and then they started building in 2018. And as you mentioned, it's the first ever time that this has been hosted in Italy, and only the third ever time it's been hosted out of the United Kingdom. So not very, it's not a place a bunch of people are familiar with, but they redid the entire golf course, driving range, and practice area, and they took the 9-hole resort course that was originally built back in 1988 by Tom Fazio, and they made it a village, like a spectator village. So they were like, "Fuck this 9-hole course, we're hosting a Ryder Cup," because now that they've hosted a Ryder Cup going forward, like they don't need to sell this property to anyone anymore. It's going to be a property that everybody's going to want to go play after they watch, this 3 days of golf, and ultimately, hopefully a USA win. But it also has the biggest clubhouse in Europe. So nice, big, brand new clubhouse. And it is, it's funny because I was like, I wonder, our geography is very low, and I will always admit that. So I Googled the height of sea level in Rome. I was like, maybe it's, up there in the hills a little bit. Maybe it's going to be like, a little bit of an elevation up there where these guys are going to hit it further. The official elevation for Rome is 69 feet. Nice. 69 feet above sea level. We love to see that. So no elevation there, no issues as far as that goes. We're playing this bitch at sea level.
Rome is like central Italy, I want to say. It's not, because there is, a lot of people don't know this, but there is mountains in Italy. Like there's very tall mountains in like the north part of Italy. I don't know if Spencer knew that or not, but yeah, that's he probably thought there was just some mountains in the middle of Italy. So Italy's sounds like almost Florida. Not obviously not the mountains part, but just like the general boot part of it is just all very, there's some like, it's not Florida. Never, just forget I ever said that. But just from a shape standpoint, it kind of gives me the same vibe. What is that called when like a part we learned in like geography in like elementary school? When something like jets off of an area into a body of water.
Oh, there is a term for that. You're not going to find it from me, though. I'm not.
Does Marissa know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely not. I don't know.
Like an Islay.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? It jets off into the Mediterranean and I think the Black Sea. No, it's all the Mediterranean. I think the Black Sea is over
an inlet.
An inlet, is that what it is?
No, I think an inlet's the area where it jets off of. That's an
inlet. I think the inlet's the water part.
Inlet goes in, something else goes out.
Yeah, that's the outdoor, not the inlet's the indoor. So I don't remember what it's called, but that's like how I kind of think of Italy. Long story short, no elevation, like you said. There is some rolling hills. It is actually, I saw like the 18th hole. There's quite a bit of, I wouldn't say elevation change, but the 18th looks like it's pretty downhill. It looks like there's some downhill tee shots out there. Like it's not a super, super flat golf course, correct?
Yeah, so they actually have 4 holes in the valley, 1, 7, 16, and 17. And only the 6th hole is even in the same location geographically as before the redesign. So they completely redid everything to make this a match play level golf course. And talk about a little bit about what you like to see and what we just kind of see in match play style golf courses. Peninsula?
Yeah.
Are we getting some help from Is that what it is?
That's
I
correct.
think that.
That is correct. Yep.
Thank God.
Shout
Oh,
out M
wow.
Potter. Appreciate you, bro.
I
We're
can't believe I forgot that shit.
we're super
That
low
is.
level non-golf knowledge and even lower level golf knowledge.
So yeah, in match play, I generally like to see some drivable par fours, which I think there's two of them out at Marco Simone. One is 17, isn't it? Or
Yes,
16?
drivable fours. There's two of those, both on the back nine, and then all par fives are hittable in two, which is what you don't love to see somebody fucking laying up and hitting a wedge. Like that may happen if they're in trouble, but match play, go for that shit in two. We want eagles. We want the most amount of excitement on par fives, not like a 800-yard hole where guys are hitting driver 3-wood wedge in there and trying to make a birdie. Like we want eagles, we want drivable fours where you can swing a match instantaneously with a good drive. And
Yeah.
then par threes are great match play holes too, because you hit one in there tight, puts a lot of pressure on the other team. But one
I
of the
think
interesting
real quick, I think 17 is a par three, if I remember correctly, and that hole's only like 150, 160 yards, a little bit downhill. I think that hole's gonna play a big factor, and it's just a great shorter par three that guys are going to have 9-iron pitching wedge in their hand with a chance to swing the match late in the round. So I really do like this finishing stretch of 16, 17, 18. 16's the drivable four, 17's the shorter par three, and then 18's a gettable five. So it's going to be like the witching hour of all golf matches, where losses become wins and wins become losses.
Oh man, with the Scott Hansen quote, I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, so the 18th hole, 626-yard par five, green is super tucked between a fairway bunker that's about 20 yards short of it, a greenside bunker on the right of it, and then a whole pond on the left of it. So great viewing, and like you said, drivable par four. All golf courses should end on a par five. We said that before. We'll say it again. So it's perfect even for a match play course. And the one interesting thing that I don't know if I've ever seen this on a golf course, the 8th and 9th hole, so finishing the front nine, are back-to-back par fives. I've never seen that before.
Huh. That is very interesting, and it's actually kind of good too. If you're going, well, I guess they're not scoring every 9 holes, but if you're playing if you're doing like a front back total, then that would be a chance for you to, and realistically, no matter what, it's going to be a great chance for whatever team is down, give them an opportunity to kind of get back into it, making the turn onto 10 after the 2 par fives. So it just feels like a lot of really good holes, a lot of great risk reward that you think could swing a match one way or the other. It feels like there's going to be a lot of like must watch holes where there's not like a hole here where you're like, oh, they're both going to make 4, get out of there. Nobody really cares. Like it feels like there's going to be a lot of swings being made at this Ryder Cup, which is ultimately what we're looking for. We want the drama.
Yeah, so this course has hosted the last 3 Italian Opens, and I found this interesting. So the winner of the last 3 Italian Opens, Nikolai Højgaard won it in 2021 on the European Ryder Cup team. Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre won it in 2022 on the Ryder Cup team. And then Adrian Marunk, who was one of the biggest, basically, if not the biggest snub on both teams, and didn't qualify for Team Europe, and now is not a captain's pick either. But he recently just won the Italian Open there, and he had a quote. This is before he got snubbed from the Ryder Cup team, but he said that Marco Simone Golf Club has the best conditions of any course on the DP World Tour. So. And now that they're preparing for a Ryder Cup, I'm sure it'll get. I don't know if anybody's been on this track since the Italian Open until the Ryder Cup, other than the dudes playing in the Ryder Cup. So I bet conditions are just going to be absolute peak.
Yeah, well, I looked at the weather over there as everybody else has, and that's another thing that has the vibe like a little bit off for me. Is it's supposed to be about 85 degrees Fahrenheit all 3 days, and full of sun, no rain, no wind, probably. And that's just another thing that feels like you need to have at a Ryder Cup is like, you even look at like Whistling Straits, you look at, you play somewhere up in the Northeast, like in New York, or you go play in Scotland, you play in Ireland, you're going to be dealing with weather conditions. And it feels like they're not going to be dealing with any of that this week in Italy, unless it's a severe case of the swamp ass, which I am very not unfamiliar with myself. So Sepp Straka and Shane Lowry, hopefully they're not wearing. Europe usually wears tan pants, if I remember correctly. If they were tan, I would definitely pack an extra pair of underwear because it sounds like it's very like hot and muggy out there. With it being at sea level, the humidity is going to be up. So just a weird, like I said, the vibe is not the same as the typical Ryder Cup. So I hope it doesn't end up with me feeling like LA Country Club vibes for the US Open. You know what I mean? That's almost kind of comparable. I was thinking about it. I'm like, is this going to feel like a US Open at LA Country Club? Like, am I going to completely hate this? And maybe that's just me being closed-minded about what venues I like and don't like. So I'm the jury's still out. I'm not going to prejudge it, but it is just a little bit weird. The guys are not going to be carrying any rain gear or anything. They're going to be carrying fucking dude wipes, fuck, no free shout outs, but they're going to be sweating their asses off. There's going to be no weather conditions to deal with whatsoever. So just a little bit of a different vibe there.
Yeah, and that does benefit Team USA for sure, not having to deal with they're already playing across the pond where the European guys are comfortable, but then they're not having to deal with the wind and playing shots differently. Hopefully if it's just clear weather days, no rain, no wind, that they can that I think the USA can take advantage of that for sure, because the other dudes have grown up playing in all those conditions, whereas United States, you don't deal with that as much. So advantage USA there for sure. I want to talk a little bit about the United States captain, our boy Zach Johnson. And it's sad because you know how we're getting old is like the captains of the Ryder Cup team are guys that like we not idolized growing up, but Luke Donald and Zach Johnson are like two of my favorite players as a kid. And now they're not playing in the Ryder Cup. They're fucking captaining it, which just means, dude, we're getting like we're there. We're old.
Yeah, there's definitely it's going to get to the point when and it almost feels this way to me now where like you have no Sergio on the European team, you have no Ian Poulter. On the American side, you have no Dustin Johnson, who's been a staple for the last 2 decades. So it definitely doesn't quite have the vibe. It's like when it's almost like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady all retiring in like that 2-year, 3-year stretch or whatever. You feel like it's almost a turning of the guard with all these young elite players. But this is just, if you look at it from the other side, it's just an opportunity for these young dudes to make a name for themselves and to become the next Ryder Cup legends. The next guys that we think about when we think of the Ryder Cup. So it gives these new guys a chance, these younger dudes a chance to put their mark on history. But I definitely feel a little bit like an old man. Like I'm officially like Nikolai Højgaard was born in 2001 and he's playing in the Ryder Cup. So that kind of makes me sick. Just knowing that anybody that was born in the year 2000 is now like of legal drinking age fucks me up in general. So it's just got old man vibes written all over it for me. I miss the old, like the Lee Westwood on the European side. Not as many, you say Tiger, Phil, obviously you miss those guys, but from a Ryder Cup standpoint, every year, they just don't have those same European Tour legends that they used to have. So it's definitely got a different vibe all the way around to it this year.
Yeah, so Zach Johnson, our guy, grew up about 20 minutes from our entire family in the state of Iowa, went to Regis High School in Cedar Rapids, and then went to Drake University. Dude's won a Masters. He's won an Open Championship. He has an 8-7-2 Ryder Cup record. He was part of the winning team in 2016, and he was the vice captain in 2021. And this is an all-time quote from him. He said, "I love competition. I've always wanted to be captain on the road. I love when teams go into a hostile environment, completely embrace and welcome it, and lay the wood down." Zach
I do.
Johnson knows laying the wood down is the way to go.
I'm sure he's an Iowa Hawkeye fan. That's what we do is we lay the wood. You come in, you quiet the crowd, you play good defense, and hopefully you have enough offense to get out of there with a W. Another point that I saw on Twitter that I didn't necessarily love is every single one of the vice captains for the U.S. team has a losing Ryder Cup record. It was Davis Love. It was Jim Furyk. I forget the other dudes, but every single dude has a losing record in the Ryder Cup. So it's like, what are you over there for? I mean, a lot of them have a lot of experience, but why don't you pick out dudes that are just winners? Even though the U.S. did not do a lot of winning, so that'd be kind of hard to figure out. Maybe Patrick Reed needs to get over there as a co-captain and really light a fire under these dudes' ass. So
It is
I'm
nice to
obviously.
not. It is nice to not have to see that frumpy fuck in this Ryder Cup. I'll tell you what. Like,
But
talk
dude,
about
he's
a
so
guy
electric.
a guy that doesn't fit the U.S. team. This is another quote from. They asked Zach Johnson what he was looking for in players that he chose as his captain's picks. This is before they came out, of course. And he said camaraderie and chemistry in the team room are like the biggest thing. So Justin Thomas, there you go, hands down, a JT pick, and then his. One more great point from him, his theory on why the U.S. hasn't won in Europe in 30 years. They've scored more points than us. So all-time John Madden level quote from Zach Johnson there.
Absolutely. And one more Patrick Reed point, and I won't harp on it, but you'd think that out of all the weeks that everybody hates the guy, I think this would be the one week where, like, even Bryson DeChambeau, too. I mean, look at what he just did on the Live Tour last week. He won again, and he's been playing probably some of the best golf in the world, no matter what tour. And you got to think this is the one week where everybody would put that shit aside, all like kind of bringing, uniting forces, bringing the Live Tour and the PGA Tour together in an effort against the European team, regardless of what tour you play on. And one other quick quote from Brooks that was pretty good, because of Bryson and Patrick Reed, probably. One of the guys asked him, what do the Live Tour guys need to do in order to, like, how can we get more Live Tour guys on the Ryder Cup team? And he goes, you just play better. Like, you have to go out and earn it. And obviously Brooks did that with winning a major this year. So it's definitely a little bit of a different mindset for Brooks that he's in it, but a little bit of a subtle shot, I felt like, at Bryson and at Patrick Reed. Like, yeah, your past performance at the Ryder Cup might mean a little bit, but what ultimately means something is going out and playing well in the majors, because that's really the only place where all the best players in the world are playing right now. So a little bit of an interesting comment from Brooks.
Yeah, and it's funny after, Bryson shot 59 at the Greenbrier and won the tournament, or 58, excuse me. Kind of an ironic shot, but Brooks is the loner out there in terms of live golfers. But he's been part of this team before. It's kind of a group of guys that has definitely some rookies, but some guys that fit in. And that kind of rolls us into our player rankings. So we're going to rank these players, and we're not going to go, we're not going to be boring and rank these players based on, who's the best player, who's this or who's that. Like, no, we're going to go into our Ryder Cup patriotic rankings. So Mitchell has Team Europe and I've got Team USA. And we're going to rank these guys from 12 to 1 with photo, video evidence of why these guys are the most patriotic. So obviously European players, how European they are, and American players, how much they bleed the, blue and red, see the stars and stripes, bend over, show you the 50 states, the whole scenario there. 4th of July. Just straight up American blood.
How patriotic they are.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into my team, or the European team. And there's a few factors that work their way in on this. For me, it was about how European they look. So the looks definitely play a factor, but I will say it's skewed a little bit because I feel like everybody that quote unquote looks European on the Ryder Cup team should look English. should look Irish, something like they need to have a certain look to them. So there's a few guys that fall out of that category. And then on top of it, any dude that came over and played college golf in America feels a little bit more Americanized to me. Like you need to, in my opinion, if you're a true European, you stay at your home club until you're 18 or 19. You win a couple of club championships, and then you turn pro once you're like a +4, +5. So those are the true American dudes, or not American, European dudes to me. I apologize. I
And
will
real
not
quick,
make
if
that.
you guys are listening to this podcast audio-wise, of course, if you're in the live here joining us, welcome. Enjoy these rankings. But if you're listening to this podcast audio version, make sure to always check us out on our YouTube at Big Drive Energy. We've got some great graphics up that we worked away on here. Me and Marissa were grinding away at some sick graphics for this podcast because the Ryder Cup is that important. So, all right, let's get into your rankings.
All right, so we're going least patriotic to most patriotic here. So this might be controversial, but I think Victor Hovland is the least European of all the Europeans, simply because a lot of people didn't even realize he was European when he first won, and then they start kind of digging. They're like, holy shit, this guy's from like Norway. So that I feel like that's kind of surprising for a lot of people. He doesn't sound European. He doesn't look European. He does listen to like a lot of death metal, which I think is kind of like a thing for his native country, that it's like a dark kind of place over there. So I guess it makes sense with the death metal, but he just doesn't give like massive European vibes. He's too nice. He's too happy, which I think we can agree that a lot of the Europeans, they're beaten down by the weather or the rain all year. They're angry about their football club. They just kind of have that general vibe to him. And Victor Hovland does not give me that vibe at all. So number 12, Victor, still love the dude, but he's probably their least patriotic. Number 11, I've got Ludwig Aberg, which his name is very European, but he,
yeah, we measure this shit in yards, Trevor.
Yeah, this is America.
10 yards for a first down, 300 yards for a drive.
Absolutely. So Ludwig Aberg, he's simply too good looking for him to be that European.
Are you saying all Europeans are ugly?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I feel like they're not necessarily ugly. There's a very high rank. Like the ugliest European dudes are like bottom of the barrel. The teeth are bad, but then the highest level, like Americans can't reach that, right?
Yeah,
they're like super
for sure.
Volatile, like my son.
Yeah.
When he's crying, volatile.
We're Americans just throw the fastball 98 on the black every time. You know what you're getting with us. We're not the best. We're not the worst. But yes, like I'm not gonna lie to you. This Aberg is a man rocket. Like he's tall, he's young, he's slender, everything that I'm not. So there might be a little bit of jealousy there. But he also came over, played college golf at Texas Tech, and then he kind of went straight to the PGA Tour, which, through no fault of his own, he earned his PGA Tour card in college. So you're not going to turn that down. But at the same time, just not very patriotic for me. Sepp Straka is coming in at number 10 for me. He's just a real pasty-looking white dude. Spencer thought he was from Australia. He's actually from Austria. But at first when I saw a video of him, I'm like, who is that? Like, I didn't even recognize him. He just looks like the kind of dude that's out in his yard on a Saturday morning in his Air Monarchs, pushing the mower around, getting ready with the grill for college football. He gives me very American vibes. And he also did play college golf over in Georgia. So I got to dock him for that. So we've got Sepp Straka at 10. Number 9, I'm going Matthew Fitzpatrick. A1, I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't because he had braces. Like, if you really care that much about your teeth, you're not very European. So I got to dock him there. He went to Northwestern, although it was for a short time. And I think he considers his home away from home in Boston, Massachusetts, which is as American as it gets. So I got to dock him patriotic points there. And he's just a kind of a goofy goober. Like he's sponsored by Skechers. Like how many European dudes are sponsored by Skechers? They're wearing like the fine Italian leathers and the kilts and shit like that. That's not Skechers are not European whatsoever. That's like as American as it gets. Tommy Fleetwood is going to come in at number 8 for me simply because his hair is too good. He's almost too good looking of a dude. Close, not quite Aberg status, but he's a pretty good looking guy. And also it's weird to me because there is a guy higher up in my rankings that also wears Nike, but whenever a European dude wears Nike, it gives me American vibes. Do you agree with that, Spencer? Because I really,
100%.
yeah, like you don't really care that much about Europe if you're wearing like if you grew up like idolizing Tiger Woods instead of like Seve Ballesteros and shit like that, then I automatically think you're not that European. So Tommy Fleetwood comes in at 8 for me. Justin Rose comes in at number 7. He's relatively patriotic. Like he actually grew up over in England, didn't go to college over here, played a lot on the European tour as a younger guy. He now lives in the Bahamas, which you can't really knock anybody for. Like it's a tax haven for the ultra rich. It's beautiful. So can't really knock him for that, but he's just kind of middle of the pack for me when it comes to the Europeans. He's also got like, when somebody gets more money and they get better looking as they go on, like Justin Rose is better looking now than he was 15 years ago when he was in his early 20s. So that's just how you can tell he's becoming less European. The better looking he gets, the more groomed and well put together. So I got him at number 7. I feel like this is a little bit of a surprise, and it's almost a little bit more of a wild card for me. But I have Jon Rahm at number 6, simply because he's Spanish. So that when I think of Europe, I don't think of like super tan. That's not the part of Europe I'm familiar with. So that's why I really had a tough time. He is very Spanish, so I'll give him credit for that. But that doesn't mean he's very European to me, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't give me the typical Ryder Cup European Tour, European player vibe that years past, guys have given me, like Paul Casey and all those old school dudes. They're very, very European. And he just strikes me more as kind of in a class of his own. So I had to go Jon Rahm at 6. At number 5, I've got Rory McIlroy. Obviously, now that he's the PGA Tour's poster boy, he can't really necessarily be the most European because he lives over in Florida. He takes advantage. He's living tax free down in Florida, so not fully tax free. No income tax down there. Not a big deal for him making whatever $100 million a year, but he's just been over in America too long. He's too Americanized. He's gotten too soft. He is good at defending his king, though, which is Jay Monahan. So I will say that gives him some European points. He is loyal to his king to a fault, no matter what kind of bad decisions they make. So I got to give Rory McIlroy the spot at 5. Coming in at 4 is Nikolai Højgaard. He is from Denmark. He's Danish. But simply based off the name, he's got to be way up there. Like you can't look at his name and tell me that guy's American. Like very, very European, although he's not from the UK. Still very, very European to me. Rasmus Højgaard is his twin brother. They're both 22. They've both already won on the DP World Tour. So I got to give him number 4 there. And he's a pretty good looking dude too. Not going to lie. These younger Europeans are kind of figuring it out. They're getting those bad genes out of the gene pool. Coming in at number 3 is Shane Lowry. He's just a big Irishman. I've mentioned it multiple times on this post, but a dude that I would just love to have a drink with. He's won the British Open, the Open Championship before. And basically his entire city that he grew up in came out and supported him in this parade that they kind of threw for him. As we can see in this Instagram post, they threw like an impromptu parade, and about 10,000, 15,000 people, probably the entire town, showed up. So I think another thing that really gives me European vibes is he's a huge rugby fan. He's a huge rugby and cricket fan. He's always posting about it on his Instagram. So obviously you're not very American if you like rugby and cricket, because that's just what Europeans do. They say it's better than American football, which it's not. But big European sports supporter. And just the kind of dude, you look at him, he's a little heavier. He's like me, so I can relate to this guy. I would just love to go have a Guinness with Shane Lowry. So I got him at number 3. Number 2, these last 2 are pretty much reserved for like the bad teeth guys, like the most typical looking European dudes that you could just find at any small town pub you walk into over in the UK. So at number 2, I've got Robbie McIntyre, just a goofy looking European dude, kind of goofy teeth. He looks like one of those kids in like one of those British films with like kind of the big buck teeth, like running around like, oh no, mister, like don't do that. So that's kind of the vibe that Robbie McIntyre gives me. Also, he's one of those dudes that has looked like 22 for the last 7 years. I think he's like my age. I think he's 28 or 29. But I think he just came out like in his early 20s already looking like he was like 35. So that's why he's looked the same. And he honestly almost looks younger now because he's gaining wealth and therefore probably better personal hygiene. And then number 1 has to go to Tyrrell Hatton. He's an angry British dude, constantly yelling at cloud. If we can get a picture here of his hair, that just looks like every European dude ever. You can't get the teeth in there, but he's got pretty rough teeth, and he's just a funny dude. He has a great personality, whether you like him or you don't like him. I don't think he really gives a shit. So he had to top my rankings. He's got the rough teeth. He's just angry. But he also seems like he'd be a blast to go have a night out with. Like he's one of the lads, you go smoke a cig out on the porch with one of the lads. That seems like Tyrrell Hatton. Like, you have a couple beers and he's wanting to head out to the patio to smoke a cigarette. So that's as European as it gets for me. I got Tyrrell Hatton at 1, and let's see if you can top that, Spencer.
All right, we're going to the American side. Number 12 coming in on my list, the least American player, and that's got to be the man, Patrick Cantlay. He's boring. He wears all the European dark colors. He's Hugo Boss. He's Elmer's glue. Put him on the European team for fuck's sake. Patrick Cantlay, not my guy. Also, the only thing that the European team would hate about Patrick Cantlay is the fact that he plays slower than molasses. So Patrick Cantlay comes in at number 12. They hate that in Europe. You have to play in a certain amount of time or else you're out. So he won't even be allowed to play his match on Sunday because he'll get slow played so much. And that actually might piss off whoever he's with. So maybe a good tactic there. Coming in at number 11, Colin Morikawa. He's a California kid. You'll notice a trend here. I'm not a big fan of California kids in general, or they don't seem very patriotic to me. He went to Cal. You'll notice a trend here coming up. Number 10, Xander Schauffele. It was hard to rank him this low because he's won a gold medal in the Olympics for the United States. So hard to argue with that level of American talent winning a gold medal for the United States. But look at his name, Xander Schauffele. I mean, that's super European, and just his look in general. He looks like he's from Europe. So I had to dock him some points. Love the guy. Both of his parents are immigrants and did not grow up in America. And his great-grandfathers played Premier League soccer. So pretty European there. Honestly, I wanted to rank him lower because of the things I saw that way. But the fact that he's won a gold medal for the USA, he's not coming in dead last. We'll go 9 and 8 together. We got Ricky Fowler and then Max Homa, both California kids. Not my style. Hair flip. Max is cool as shit. I love all these guys, so it makes it sound like I'm downvoting them. They just don't feel very patriotic to me. Moving on to number 7 and 6, we'll actually do these together. Living there in Texas and growing up in Texas, that's about as American as it gets, I think. And that's 7 with Scottie Scheffler and 6 with Jordan Spieth. Texas Longhorns, grew up there, grew up in the Dallas area. Very American there, but not my favorite. Other than that, like they're kind of your typical, just both nice guys. They both have horrible hair, which is kind of an American thing when you get to like older levels. Like they're too young to have as bad a hair as they do, but they do. So they're ranked here at 7 and 6.
Relatable for us, by the way, with the hair.
Say that again.
Relatable for us with the hair, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I wear a hat 365 days a year, unless I'm at a wedding. Number 5 here, Justin Thomas, Kentucky kid who went to Alabama. That's pretty American there. Alabama football the last 5 years is one of the most relatable American things, I think. And let's not forget, he's only on this Ryder Cup team because he's in the club of like American dudes on the Ryder Cup team. So he comes in at number 5. Number 4 for me is Brooks Koepka. He, very American. We're starting to get into the very American. Big Michelob Ultra guy, as we can see here from this Instagram picture.
Has a smoking hot wife.
Second one. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, smoking hot wife. This is captioned "Freedom for the win." Jenna Sims, his wife. He's got American flags all around him. Obviously, look what he's doing there. That's incredible stuff from Brooks Koepka. Nose beers and eyes open at the Panthers game. Florida hockey. That's about as American as it gets as well. Yeah, he just bleeds that American blood. Number 3 here. We're going to come in with Wyndham Clark, Colorado kid. We grew up with him, Valor Christian High School. That's pretty American. His Instagram is full of fishing tweets and fishing pictures. He is the U.S. Open champion and also got killed for liking a tweet about January 6th. Moving on to number 2, we got Sam Burns. He cut his fucking hair into a mullet. American mullet, baby. It's his Instagram is also full of Firebirds, Camaros. He's from Louisiana, went to Louisiana State, fishes from the bayou, American as hell, and his hair just took him over the top for me. He was almost number 1, but number 1 goes to, what's that?
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Number 1 goes to none other than the legend Brian Harman, the current Open champion. As we'll see from this Instagram picture here, I skipped over the 7 of him killing amazing. Actually, it was hilarious because one of them, he killed this amazing elk. And the only comment that, you can see random comments on Instagram, somebody posted, "Why the fuck would you post this?" And they just do not get what America is about. He's got like multiple pictures of him hunting turkeys, killing deer, killing elk, farming. But as we see here, he got his John Deere, not a tractor, but his John Deere, basically 4x4 side by side, stuck in the mud at his farm. He hashtags in this farming with Harmon. I mean, I don't know how it gets any more America than that. He called this issue here a whoopsie daisy. So that's just as American as it gets. Brian Harmon, we love to see it. And hopefully we'll see him. We'll actually see him up in our betting graphic here in a bit. But before we get to that and get to our final predictions, we do want to tell you guys about our friends over at Bet365. Use the promo code DNVR365 when you sign up for Bet365, and you will be getting $365 in bonus bets when you bet $1. You can always bet any golf tournaments, you can bet live, you can bet the PGA Tour, which we'll do a ton this upcoming year. So use that promo code DNVR365, and you can get into the action where we're going to show you our picks for this Ryder Cup. Once again, that's code DNVR365 at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And get your, gambling. That's I think Europeans do that too, but that's a very American thing, I think. Moving over to an also American thing, the guys down at Burrito Express. If you're listening to this pod from Arizona, make sure to check out Burrito Express. I will be down in Tempe next weekend, actually, for see you at Arizona State. We're going to be partying at Fat Tuesday on Mill Avenue, and I'm going to make sure to get over to Burrito Express right after I land, get my stomach full with a great steak breakfast, egg, and potato breakfast burrito over at Burrito Express in Tempe. They have 6 locations throughout the state of Arizona, but make sure to check out Burrito Express. They have the best breakfast burritos around. Also, our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery. It's in all 50 states. It's American. It's the highest distillery in the world. They've got the Great Broncos Bourbon competition going right now. Better bourbon than the Broncos put on the field, but we love them nonetheless. Make sure to check out BreckenridgeDistillery.com and see where you can get it in an area near you. All right, let's get into our picks. The Big Bet Energy is back for the Ryder Cup. We've got a graphic here. We'll go through our picks. I'll start it off. So I think the USA is going to come out hot. I think the only chance they have of winning this is if they come out and win the first day. And that's actually boosted from Bet365 from plus 125 to plus 175. So make sure you get in on that. Bet365. Use a code DNVR365 and use some dollars of your bonus bets in the day one winner of the United States of America, boosted to plus 175. And this next one, hole in one, yes, plus 333. I believe there will be a hole in one in this tournament somewhere. It's not quite like betting a hole in one at a normal PGA Tour event because there's so few players. But I think with the gettable par fours, we've got options there. Victor Hovland actually made a hole in one in the practice round yesterday on a par 4. I think that's a good omen for this bet. So bet hole in one plus 333. And then our Bet365 bonus bet, so this doesn't count against our units, only if it wins, not if it loses, just like we like it. I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth winning putt plus 1,400. That guy has the stones to make a putt from anywhere on the green. I just have a feeling he's going to be in one of the final groups in his singles match. He's going to be one of the last ones to go out. Close European versus USA matchup. USA is going to come out on top, and Jordan's going to pop that hat off, show everyone his bald head, maybe give the horns up. But Jordan Spieth winning putt plus 1,400.
You were letting, what is that?
I was having intrusive thoughts about Justin Thomas.
That's what I was gonna say. You were letting your thoughts win. No, you were looking at Justin Rose, my bonus pick, but I'll get to that here soon. So I took a little bit more of a flyer. Brian Harman to be the top USA scorers plus 3,500. He has the worst odds on favor of anybody on the American team. And just like he did this summer at the Open Championship, I think he comes out and surprises everybody. He's like public enemy number 1 over in Europe right now. Everybody hates him. They hate that he hunts. They hate that he won their national championship. So I got Brian Harman to win the most points of any USA player at plus 3,500. I got good vibes. Davis Love once again said he was hitting it better than anybody. So I do like that pick, and it's just great value. First out in singles, Justin Thomas plus 900. I think that Zach Johnson is going to make a statement with Justin Thomas at some point this weekend, one way or the other. He does have the best record of any American playing on European soil. Very, very good player on European soil. And like I said, I think they come out, they make a statement. They put JT first out for the Americans in the singles plus 900. I like that. I think that actually has a pretty good shot. I could be completely wrong, but what's new? And then my bonus bet, Justin Rose to hit the winning putt. He's one of the longest tenured, I think the longest tenured European Tour player that's in the field this week. Just got stones. I could see him hoisting making the winning putt, given the signature 2-arm fist bumps, fists up in the air, that kind of thing with putter in hand. I can envision it in my mind better than I can verbalize it right here. So I'm just a fucking word salad right now. But Justin Rose plus 2,200, I feel like he's got a pretty good shot. He's probably going to be going out mid to later for the Europeans. So I really like that also.
So do we have a European team prediction win for Mitchell? Is that what it is? I'm betting with my heart here. I'll take the US, you take Europe. Drinks on you, or drinks on whoever Sunday afternoon in Chicago.
Perfect. That works for me. I have just been on the wrong side of history so many times that I'm going to try to avoid that here. And maybe it's a good thing for the US team that I think Europe's going to win, because I am a fucking mush when it comes to betting on anything. But yeah, I think that it's obviously going to be tight. I don't think anybody's going to run away with it over here. The talent on both sides is so evenly matched. The experience kind of in the same way. So I got Europe. I'm going to say they win by 1.5. I think they edge us out by 1.5. I don't even know if that math checks out. I think you may have to win by a full point. So, or whatever. I think it's only full points. I don't know if you can win by half a point or whatever. So whatever. I'm going to say Team Europe wins by 1.5. Could be completely wrong, but we'll put it on a graphic and everyone can laugh at me.
You're getting either 1 point or 2 points. So I like that. Team USA wins by 2 points. USA.
Stand up for America.
I'm gonna do the Pat McAfee. I'm going to stand up. I don't have my wife beater on, but Team USA comes out with the dub. First time in our lifetime, 30 years, they get it done.
I would love to pop a little bubbly. We could maybe get some bottle service in Chicago and celebrate something, have something to celebrate, because the Broncos aren't going to give us that Sunday. So I would love to see the American team win. Obviously, I am very American, so that would be awesome. I just have to go with my heart versus my head here. So I like that we're on opposing sides. I think that'll create a little feuding over the weekend.
It's exciting nonetheless. Just like this Ryder Cup is going to be. You guys all enjoy the 2023 Ryder Cup. Take a nap, get some coffee, get up early, I guess, for you, because you're on the East Coast. Late for me, because it'll still be tonight when they kick off. But this is one of the truly great events of golf, and puts two, a country against another continent, if you will. And it's just one of the most fun weekends of golf that you can watch. So make sure to tune in. We will try to do a live podcast, semi-drunk Saturday night. So make sure you're looking for that on our YouTube at Big Drive Energy. I am at Big Drive Spence. He's at Big Drive Mitch. Go Team USA. We're out.
Peace.